Hi friends! Today we're going to do a little extension on my activity from last week. So last week, if you didn't see the video, we did a little guessing game and we talked about all these really cool seeds and how different seeds are based on what they end up doing. But you know what? We've been stuck inside a long time and a lot of the stores have been closed. So maybe some of us don't have seeds at home. But I've got an example of something you can do and try at home based on what might be in your fridge or in the pantry. So we're going to give that a go today. Parents, basically the underlying practice of today's video is going to be those really early on beginning research type process that we get the kids oriented with. And they are already built for the research process. We are going to build upon what 4- and 5-year-olds do best, and that is ask lots and lots of questions. So today we're going to do an I see, I wonder, I know. And we're going to go through what that looks like. We're using pictures and words, and we're going to do a little kitchen experiment today. So let's get started. Okay, friends, so I've got my cutting board here. Let me see if we can get that. There we go. I got my cutting board here, and I'm going to be using a knife today, so make sure you're not doing this by yourselves. You need to have an adult with you at all times if you're going to be doing these kind of things at home, okay? Safety first, just like in the classroom. I also have a little container ready, so maybe that'll get your wonderings going in a little bit. So I'm going to show you two things from my fridge. I've got some romaine lettuce and I've got some green onions. So we had these in the fridge, and so we're going to start with I see. So let's take a peek, friends. So what do we see? I know some of the leaves have come off because we've used a bit of this before. We can also see the bottom. I know it doesn't look very fancy, but that's where the root was cut off when it grew in the ground. They it off and out came the lettuce. So that's the original root spot. We can also take in maybe how it feels. Right now it's kind of cold because it was in my fridge, or even the texture. You know, the longer it sits out, it gets very floppy, kind of like a wet noodle. And then we have our green onions. So it starts off one color at the bottom, white, and it gets a little darker in green as it goes. You can also see that it also has these little roots kind of coming out the end. We don't really eat those, but that's what I'm seeing right now. So I'm going to take these thoughts, these talkings, and I'm going to put them to paper. Hi friends. Okay, so I've got my chart paper here. Maybe you're using a piece of paper at home. You don't need as many words as I do. I've just put some extra stuff on here for mom and dad so that they understand the different parts that we would be talking about. So remember, we just finished the I see. So what kind of things did we see? Well, we might decide to draw a picture of what we saw. And we had the root at the bottom. And then that way I can remember what it looked like at the very beginning. We could practice our labeling, and mom and dad might be able to help us with our spelling. We can talk about that's where the roots were. We had the leaves. We also talked about things, sounds, sights. Use your body. God gave us these great things to take in information. Smells, touch, and taste. So I kind of knew it tastes like lettuce because I eat it all the time. But we talked about some of the stuff we were seeing. We could say for touch that it was cold because I had it in the refrigerator. And it was crisp, it was crunchy. It was still nice and firm. So it was, we'll say crunchy. So we can put down words that describe what we're doing. And this is just collecting what's going on in our brains. So let's go see what other things are going to be involved so we can talk about some I wonders. Okay, part 2, I wonder. So let's get this process going. So I'm going to take my container. I'm going to have that right here in front of me. And I'm going to take my two things. So ultimately, you're still using this food. So I'm going to take this, and I've got my knife ready. And we don't tend to like the bottom bit, so I'm going to cut this. This is going to go as part of our lunch. We're going to make some stuff with it. And what I have left now is this. So this might change your I see a little bit. It's kind of fun to kind of look inside and see what that looks like. You can see these tiny little dots in some places in the different colors. So we've chopped that off, and this is what we're going to start wondering with. Same thing with this. Been told they don't want too much of the bottom bit, so we're going to eat this part. But we're gonna hold on to this for a second. Okay, so let's take a wondering. I've got a container, so we must be using that. And I'm gonna do this. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this container, I'm gonna put some water in it. And you know what? I'm gonna stick these items in that water, and then I'm gonna put them on the windowsill in the sunshine. and leave them for another day or two and see what happens. Water, sunshine, and these scraps that would have gone in my compost. I wonder what they'll do. Let's make some notes. Okay, here we are again. I wonder what's gonna happen. Well, maybe, you know what? I find sometimes when I leave out vegetables, they start to change color. So maybe, I wonder if maybe our lettuce might go a little bit yellow, because now it's not in my fridge anymore, and maybe it's gonna get a little bit gross, and maybe it's going to change color. So it might be yellow in the end. What else might happen, friends? Write it down or draw a picture of what you think might happen when we add in these sunlight, water, and our kitchen scraps. Okay, hopefully you took a moment to think about it and you didn't jump ahead too soon, because now we're gonna go into some learning, some I knows. So I actually have some of this stuff ready and a couple other things that I didn't have on hand to do a cutting with. So let's take a peek. So let's take some of those wonderings and see if you were correct. So this is the romaine lettuce, and as you can see, it's starting to get these little knobbies, these little leaves that are popping up in the middle of it. This one we've had in the windowsill for a couple of days. Romaine lettuce is actually really quick, which makes it really fun to watch when it's in your window. This one was cut a couple of days before, and it's got some yucky bits, so we can pop those off, and that'll go in my compost. And as you can see, it started to grow. And then we can look at the first one I had. This one's probably about 2 weeks old. And so this was this one. See how much more it has grown? And you can eat this. How cool is that? When you put the cutting, the root end, so this end is really, really good at taking up the water. They like to drink. You really have to change the water every day. And then as it goes, it starts to grow more lettuce. My hope is that once I get this a little bit bigger, I'm actually gonna put it right into the dirt in my garden outside, and I'm hoping it's gonna continue to grow. If not, it's probably destined for a compost pile. But for now, these new baby leaves are totally able to go in our bellies. How cool is that? To go from this to this in just a couple of weeks, and really, really easy to take care of. So what's something else we can do? Celery, same thing. This one I just did the other day, so sadly I don't have much to show, but you can start to see that the center's beginning to stick up, and it will do the same thing. It will begin to grow these little tiny celery stalks, and eventually it gets bigger. Same idea, root on the bottom, takes up the water, sunshine comes down to help it grow. What else could we do in our kitchen? So I have them in my container like this, and what we do is I put them kind of a little bit organized here like that, and then every day I dump out the old water and I put in a little bit of new. The celery and the lettuce, really, really thirsty kind of vegetables, and I just cover it enough, about that much water in there, and I put it in the window, and Mother Nature takes care of the rest. It's really quite cool. What else can we do? Well, what happened to those green onions I talked about? Remember these guys? There they are. Oh, let's take a peek. So I had to bundle these guys because they like to fall over. But check this out. They start by growing out of the center, and eventually you get these giant, brand new green onions. And they smell just like the original. We can eat these. How awesome is that? And you can see their roots have really started to grow a lot more from what a lot of them start with. That's okay, it's not gonna hurt them. And again, I'm gonna try put these in my garden outside and see if I can keep them growing. This is really excited. Otherwise, it was gonna go in my composter, which is still really, really good for my garden, but this is awesome because I can keep on eating this and I don't have to spend the money at the grocery store. And here's one that might have really surprised you. Do you guys like carrots? We love carrots. We're actually planting our own carrots this year, so you can actually, when you're getting ready to have some carrots for supper, you can cut the tops off. So these guys haven't done much growing yet because again, they're a little more hardy and it takes them a while to soak up the water. But as we wait, these guys, I'm hoping you guys are gonna be able to see this. And you see the little green bit right there, that's that nice, beautiful carrot top that's beginning to grow. And I've never tried these before, so this is something new for me. But I'm hoping once I get a nice green stalk, I can plunk these in the garden too, and we'll see what we can get. A lot of people sometimes will eat that greenery and put it in their salads. So I have a couple of them here that are starting to show some little green bits. And hopefully in the next week or so, we'll see a little bit more. But same thing, I line them up in my containers. Our lunch containers are getting a new home with us being at home and not needing them to take to school. And I'm gonna just add some water in, change the water every day so it doesn't get yucky. And voila, we have brand new growth from stuff that was going to go into our compost or sometimes even the garbage. I love this. I think this is super cool. Nature at work right here in our windowsills. So now let's take a peek at what we might have learned from this process. Pretty cool, eh? What happens when we put this stuff into the sunshine and give it lots of water to drink. Remember, plants are living things too. They need this stuff. So the I know portion, we're either going to draw or write some words about what we learned today. So let's take a look. We know that if we give it sunlight, oh, and I didn't bring my blue marker, so we're just gonna borrow the green for a second, and I give it water, it's going to give me, so it started off looking like it did, and then it started growing all these new leaves. Interesting. We also learned that we can eat them. They're safe to eat. And we also learned that there's other vegetables that could do it. So maybe you're going to draw that little tiny carrot and what eventually happens in the end. So my next I wonder is going to be, if I put it in the dirt outside, do you think it's gonna stick around? Will it continue to grow? Who knows? We just wanna try to think of lots of questions and then see if we can answer them. Sometimes we can do things like this where we can do an experiment and see what happens. Other times we can pick up a book or check the internet with mom and dad and try and get the information that way. Ask lots of questions, friends. We want to learn lots about this world, and it's here for us to explore. And you know what? God is blessing us with all this extra time to do it. So get out there, explore your house, explore the outside with mom and dad or whoever you're with, and let's see if you can come up with some I wonders and see if you can I see, I know, I wonder. Well, thanks for joining me again, friends. I hope you're doing well. Go enjoy that sunshine. It is really good for our bodies, and all that fresh air is great for our lungs. Check out the dandelions. Careful, because those bees are out there eating away at that nectar, and we don't want to step on them. Be safe, be healthy, and I'll talk to you soon, friends.